Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Underground Sound. I am Emerson.
I'm Noah.
And today we have a very special guest with us today here. She has been trying to get on for a while, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Kirsten Thompson, and I am a Hamilton fan. I think that's what we're talking about today.
That is correct. So I remember last show, me and Noah talked about us potentially doing a show about Hamilton and how it's related to rap music, how rap music is related to Hamilton, and so forth. And we were able to pull all the right strings.
Oh, look at that.
And we got it. We got it here today. So Kirsten here is our Hamilton expert. I am new to it. Noah, what was your, knowledge of Hamilton prior to this?
Probably about as much as you, Emerson. Most of my friends really like Hamilton. Anybody who was lucky enough to go see it or have seen some version of it has said the soundtrack's fantastic and it's just kind of groundbreaking, especially 2 years ago. But honestly, I've listened to a few of the songs, maybe like half the soundtrack. Can't really remember any of them, but I know the history behind it and about the creator and everything. So I've got good background knowledge, just not really the show itself.
That is perfectly fine. So we'll start off with a little, kind of synopsis on what is the show really about, what's it take place, and without getting any spoilers here, just kind of a general overall on what this whole thing's about. Kirsten, I'll let you take the lead here.
Right, so Hamilton was created by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was known in the Broadway scene for quite some time, known for In the Heights if any Broadway fans are out there, but probably just me. That's great. But anyway, Lin-Manuel Miranda created Hamilton as a musical after reading the book Hamilton. Don't ask me who the author was, but it's a very long book, and I've never read it myself. But the musical's about that, and basically the life of Alexander Hamilton from the time that he immigrated to America to building up a reputation in politics, being George Washington's right-hand man, which is a song in the musical, great song, and just moving up, getting married, having children, dealing with the repercussions of life and all of that up until his death and the consequences of his death. All told in a little over a 2.5-hour time span.
Yeah.
Wow, that is informational. I feel like I've known Hamilton for a long time now, actually.
Like I said, she's the expert. We brought her in.
Perfect. You and I would not really know what we'd be talking about had we not brought someone in. So good on your part, Emerson.
All right. Well, for me personally, I listened to the entirety of the soundtrack from Kirsten's request. And I also did a little bit of just digging, I guess, from my own on just looking for references and understanding a little bit of the baseline of it a little more. There were a lot of nice things I didn't catch initially, thanks to Merce and Hip Hop DX on a YouTube video. Thanks to them. They helped me out a little bit. But yeah, so we're going to talk about it just in general, but I think we should start off with the very first song, Alexander Hamilton, and then we'll go into the song Yorktown, and then we'll have a little discussion again. Sound good with you guys?
Perfect.
Of course.
Let's give it a listen.
All right, let's go. All right, we are back, and once again, we are talking about Hamilton. And Kirsten, why don't you give us a little rundown on why everyone's heard of this and why it's so big?
Yeah, so as soon as Hamilton entered Broadway, everyone was very hyped about it, mostly because Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's identified as a minority individual, established his cast primarily of people of minority races. And the only person in the entire Hamilton cast who is a white person is George Hamilton, which goes to show the play on between, people who started a revolution in Great Britain, and just the fact that having those races collide really goes to show in Hamilton itself. But also just the fact that Hamilton is not consists of purely Broadway show tunes like most Broadway shows are, because Broadway music, let's just say it, even though I'm a theater lover, is very cliche. And so, I
wouldn't know. This is my first real dig into it.
Broadway music all sounds the same. Even though I love Broadway music, the part that drives the story forward is the words and the lyrics, not so much the music itself, even though the music can be brilliant in its own rights. But what makes Hamilton so special is because it generates all these different musical genres, not just rap and hip-hop, but also like dance music, some not country, but I'm going blank already.
Thank God.
Great. Yeah, definitely
I was
not
say,
country.
I wasn't picking up any country.
No. But they do pick up for different eras and different genres, especially
Right.
the rap and hip-hop. And, of course, that appeals to the popular audience who normally doesn't go to Broadway to see, like, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's something that kind of intrigued me was when you mentioned how much of a rap influence and style it kind of has. And As I'm sure you listeners could tell through listening to Alexander and Yorktown, the songs really do have like raps in them. I mean, it really does have a hip hop influence nonetheless. Shortly when we're done here, we're going to talk about an actual rap battle that takes place in this little theater experience here. So yeah, there's just a lot of really cool things in it. Noah, you have anything to add?
No, I just think Hamilton in general, just with the previous description and everything, I think considering just how it was made and how diverse it is and its cast and everything, I think it's fantastic that it was so well received and it didn't receive that kind of cultural backlash on multiple social media platforms. It's pretty much universally loved. And that kind of goes to show how you can take a classic story and retell it in a way that suits like an awesome vision, a very unique, very creative and profound one. And it just kind of shows how you can go through with that and people can still like it while also paying respect to the original as well. So I think that it's just, personally, I didn't know much about Hamilton when it was a huge phenomenon, but reading more up on it, about the creator and everything, it's pretty wild that this even exists. So, I mean, it's very special. Emerson, you mentioned a rap battle and everything here, so I'm very interested to dig into that very soon.
Yeah, as you said, pays a lot of respect. It definitely pays its respects to rap. There are numerous references all littered throughout this. The song that we will not be playing, but is good, is the 10 Dual Commandments. And that one is actually a massive little reference to Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments. Then there's multiple lines all throughout this that are references to other rap songs, such as when Lin-Manuel Miranda says, "I'm only 19, but my mind is older." That's a Mobb Deep reference. When he says, "If you don't know, now you know," that's another Biggie reference. So just little things like that are constantly all over this thing. And I actually really enjoyed that. I thought it was really nice little spin he added to it.
Yeah, that's the way to Emerson's heart.
Yeah,
just reference the classics, the greats.
If you can properly put in some nice rap references in there, I will certainly be a fan. And it really does that. So let's get in this rap battle here. This is Cabinet Battle number 1.
Let's give it a listen.
Once again, that was Cabinet Battle number 1. And as I'm sure you can tell, that is a pretty legit rap battle. Kirsten, you texted me that song, or battle, I guess, specifically. Why do you like that one so much?
Right, honestly, the cabinet battles, I had to grow into listening to them.
Really?
Well, considering the fact that even though I'm a music major, I don't consider myself a rap hip-hop fan.
Fair enough.
It's so...
Could you please, walk out the door?
I know.
Over there?
I know. That's dangerous territory to say in here. I'm fully aware. But I listen to Hamilton simply because of the Broadway aspect and wondering why it was such a big hit.
Sure.
And then, of course, that's when I figured out why. I was like, oh, this makes sense now. And so the cabinet battles were something that I kind of skipped every now and then. I was like, okay, I can appreciate this, but not right now. And then, and then after a period of time, I found out wow, I can really bob my head to this. I'm into this. Okay. And also a little tidbit about the cabinet battles in general. When these songs are performed on stage, because remember, these are live shows, and this is happening 8 times a week, every week. During the cabinet battles, the actors who are performing in the cabinet battles, someone comes out on stage like a crew member and hands them handheld microphones, which is actually very noteworthy because, in theater, usually all the microphones are through the hair or attached to over the ear. But they intentionally bring up this old school rap battles by bringing out these handheld microphones and actually use them. The microphones are live; it's not just props, and they actually use the handheld microphones when doing these rap battles, if you will.
That is interesting. I didn't know that. That's really cool, though. But yeah, this is a clear, nice little homage to rap. In a lot of the other songs, you can hear a nice little scratching of the record. That old school kind of rap feel. I absolutely love that.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
But aside from Hamilton being influenced by rap, I really started thinking, and I was like, what year did this really start to take fold?
2016, right?
When was it its peak popularity?
I think it was created in 2015
right.
and then started performing 2016. So 2016 was when everyone was like, okay, this is a thing and we need to pay attention to it.
And that is what really got me thinking, because it wasn't till 2016 that rap became the second most popular genre in the country, according to Spotify streams. And in 2017, it actually took over at number 1, and that is where it is currently standing right now. So I started thinking, I mean, I credit Drake, actually, despite my problems with that artist. I credit Drake a lot.
Give credit where it's due.
I do give credit where it's due. I give Drake a lot of credit for making rap as big as it is. And I really think Hamilton might have something to do with that as well. I feel like there are a lot of people like Kirsten here who were really just into the musical side of things and then kind of grew into things such as a rap battle. And I think there's plenty of people who kind of then grew into the rap genre as a whole. So I really think a lot of the rap fan base probably came from this and Drake and other sources. But I really feel this is a big influence on the rap fan base that we have today.
That's actually a very valid point, because when the producers and engineers were creating the soundtrack to Hamilton, from the very get-go, they realized that they needed to record it in a way that's different from other Broadway soundtracks. And so the engineers, producers had about 30 days to create the whole soundtrack compared to a normal 3 or so for normal Broadway soundtracks.
Wow.
And they did this because they knew that Hamilton was going to go into the mainstream. Like, they knew from the very beginning that it would catch on, and they needed to record it and mix it, engineer in a way that would appeal to that public audience and for it to enter more than just the Broadway community, because largely in theater you have old white men who don't really care about such scandalous music.
Well, yeah, I definitely think some of the success that can be attributed to Hamilton was that it was just so very accessible, just considering that it was hip-hop rap, which, you know, obviously has just been coming up ever since 90s, late 80s, everything with that. And then just the fact that it was on the Broadway stage, which is, you know, very coveted, very, you know, if you have a slot in Broadway, that's something that's kind of an event, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So should that become popular and should that become mixed with something really creative and unique, such as an idea of like mashing genres, that's fantastic. And we know that people of all types of audiences come out to these particular shows, and this is what gets younger people, older people, people who maybe didn't listen to certain types of music before. This is what gets people interested and exciting. For those history junkies who don't listen to rap, now they can hear it through a different lens. For those people who don't like history but do like rap, they have that too. They're a little bit more educated now. So I think Hamilton was just honestly a fantastic idea in its own right for that. And I think it's really interesting what you said with just how they're mixing it, sound engineering and everything. It seems very intentional, all of it. And I can definitely hear it through the tracks that we're listening to. And I know Emerson is really pleased with what he's heard so far.
I am. I thoroughly enjoyed listening through this, what did you say, 2.5 hour, 2 hours 40?
2.5 with a 15-minute intermission.
2.5 hour album. Yeah,
specificity.
It was a lot, but yeah, I really did enjoy it. I was thoroughly impressed. There was a lot of good stuff there. But speaking of good stuff, I think it's a good time to transition into my personal favorite from this, and that is Helpless. And the reason I love it is from the first like 25 seconds. Sounds absolutely fantastic. It really reminds me of like a Kanye West beat.
I knew you would add
and
Kanye
it has
into
to
this
be
somehow.
sampled by someone. Someone has to
Okay.
mess this up because this sounds so good. But we're going to get into it. Helpless, off of the play, Hamilton, my personal favorite. Please take a keen listen to the first 20 seconds.
Enjoy this one.
That was Good Night by Denzel Curry, one of my current favorite new artists out there. He actually just released a brand new little freestyle last week called Rip to Rip. Not a great name, but a great freestyle. And yeah, I'm just a huge fan, and I'm very excited to see what he does next. Noah, what do we got up next, though, for the show?
All right, so in the tradition of artists that we love, we have A$AP Rocky coming up next. And in the tradition of Elon Phoenix, we have a song by A$AP Rocky called Phoenix. Give it a listen. It's one of my favorites by him.
Same here.
All right, so for the next song, apparently since I'm a guest, I get to choose music. What in the world? But anyway, the next song is going to veer a little bit differently from rap hip-hop, and this is actually the band that got me into music in the first place. So, of course, I have to talk about that, and it's Hard Times by Paramore, so take a listen.
Next up, we have Feva Love by Talib Kweli, one of my all-time favorite rappers and one of the most conscious rappers out there ever. This is one of my personal favorite songs. Feva Love, it's supposed to be Forever Love. They just spell it a little differently because the guy sounds weird. That's it.
All right, and next up we have King of Rock by Run DMC. As everybody who listens to this show knows, I love late 80s, early 90s type rap. Run DMC was awesome at melding a couple genres together, especially if you remember Walk This Way by Aerosmith and Run DMC. But here's King of Rock, where some awesome guitar is on display and just a bunch of good raps. So let's get into it.
All right, that was Noah's Run DMC. Absolutely legendary. And that will basically conclude our show. Any last thoughts from either guest here?
Well, I'd just like to go ahead and thank our special guests for giving us such a unique topic to speak about. Normally, we'd like to talk about some of the more mainstream things in hip-hop rap and play some of the less well-known artists. But this was something that was really cool. And I know it's something that I wouldn't have initially thought about, especially considering, it doesn't necessarily fall under the umbrella of what we do. But this was fantastic. It was very informative. Just thanks so much. Thanks for coming on. It'll be hard to match this content-wise.
We might have to bring back K Fresh. I don't know.
Come back from LA.
I hear he's doing quite well, and I wish him all the best.
Absolutely.
But all right. Kirsten, for your last little note here, if you came across a stranger and you had to convince them for your life to go see Hamilton, what would you say to him?
You didn't prepare me for this, but anyway.
That's the greatness of these questions.
That's what I'm saying. Would you be prepared in this situation?
Sounds like your life is on the line and you're not doing so well.
Yeah, I'm dead already. But go see the show if you can afford the tickets or enter into the lottery. Or if you're into piracy, you could definitely watch a bootleg on YouTube because it is revolutionary for its play on for the social, racial classes as well as the modern music brought into Broadway. Changing how we look at popular music, but also how we look at theater.
Let the record show that we do recommend watching Hamilton, but do advocate for the legal.
Please be legal.
Obtainment
People need to make money. Please give them money. We need to eat food.
Fair enough.
Great.
All right. Well, I think that is it. I'm Emerson.
I'm Kirsten.
And I'm Noah.
And we are Underground Sound, WSOE 89.3, Elon, North Carolina.
Thanks for listening.